Back with another episode of Chef's Kiss. I am here with the special guest today, Phillies reliever Matt Strahm. What's up, Matt?
Not much. How you doing?
Good, Matt. You had a busy day yesterday. You were telling me about it. Taking care of your dogs, right? Just handling some business.
Yeah, completely ghosted you yesterday after we got two new puppies right after the off season or right after the postseason, and it's time to get them neutered. And once I brought them home, I was sulking in their misery with them, so I just kind of blanked
Yeah,
the day.
and they're
But
out
no,
of
they're
it,
doing a lot
right?
better today. The what?
They're out of it too, right? They get drugged up, so
Oh
they're
yeah,
kind of like moping around. It's hard to watch. They got the cones
oh yeah,
on,
no
right?
doubt. Yeah, running into everything. They're just
Yeah,
they forget they're about 10 inches wider now in the head, so they're
right.
banging it off the table and everything else. So
What kind of dogs do you have, and what did you name them?
yeah, so I have three Boykin Spaniels. Um, they're like a Cocker Spaniel, except they're all brown. They're a little smaller than a Cocker, and I'm a big hunter. I'm an avid outdoorsman, and they are hunting dogs. And all my dogs are named after a part of a bow. So my first one is Knox, and then we have Fletch, and then we have Bo.
Okay, very good.
So yeah.
Nice. There's room for another Archer too. My dog's name, or my brother's dog's name is Archer, so kind of
Okay,
fits
that's sick.
kind of
Yeah,
fits
yeah,
in that world. Very cool.
yeah, no
Um,
doubt.
Matt, what did you think about the Eagles? Did you watch the game on Sunday?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think Barkley just put the statement out right away, so
Y-
that was kind of sick to just see him bust that big one. And you know, it's cool. It's a lot cooler now that I've played in Philly to just like you know what that stadium's feeling after just
mhm.
experiencing Red October and everything. Can only imagine what that felt like. And the unfortunate part that I hate about football is the Super Bowl's always at a neutral site.
Yes,
Like
same.
I hate that. Could you imagine a Super Bowl in Philly with Philly? Like
I
that'd be
know.
nasty.
Yeah, I mean, some teams like the Bucks. I think when the Bucks won with Tom Brady, it was in Tampa. They just so happened
Yeah,
to be in there.
yeah,
Like if the Vikings, they go to the indoor stadium, happens in Minnesota. Yeah, it is unfortunate,
but
and even in college too, because college
college
fans like,
drives me wild with that.
yeah, we were
The
just
bowl
at
games and everything.
we were just in Tampa for Michigan, Alabama. I'm like, if this was in Ann
Yeah,
Arbor, if this was in Tuscaloosa, it'd be totally different. Um,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
But I am excited for the Super Bowl. Do you have Super Bowl plans? What do you plan on doing?
Nah, I mean, we just probably just gonna chill out here. I'm already down in Clearwater. I like to get out usually 3, 4 weeks early just to get outside and move around. And so we'll keep it chill. I'm sure some of the guys there's a few of us down here now, so we'll probably get together, have a little Super Bowl party, and watch it.
Okay, very nice. That's what I was gonna get into right away. I was gonna see what does your off season look like. Obviously, you said you're in Clearwater right now. You training in the morning. I know you gave me your schedule. You said anytime after
Yeah,
two
yeah,
thirty. So, what does that mornings look like for you? What does it consist of? And are you working on anything new?
yeah. So my off season, just like a typical day when I'm full swing into everything, it's usually I get up, go into when I'm down here, I go in at like 8:30. Usually just have a trainer kind of give me a once over stretch if anything's bothering me, if I slept funny or whatever, they iron it out, and then I go into my lift. And Tuesday, Fridays are my pen days, so they're a little longer on Tuesday and Friday. But it was today was just throw a bullpen at 10:30, lift afterwards, and then did some recovery with Plum, one of our trainers, and just it's gotta keep the machine going.
Yeah, absolutely. So you pretty regimented. Everything happens certain time of day. You kind of try to keep the same routine going, or are you not like that?
No, I'll really like that. So I love a schedule. I love routine. Um, I'm sure every trainer in the training room can let you know that that training room better be open 6 hours before the game. Otherwise, Strom's going to let us hear about it. And it's, I just feel like when you fall into a routine and you find success, that's what keeps your success going is just sticking to the routine. I mean,
Hmm.
we all have seen it with New Year's resolutions and all that. You feel good for the 37 days that lasts, and then you
Yeah.
get away from it and you go downhill from there. So the more regimented I can stay, the better I feel, and just the more clear-minded I am for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you are entering your 10th season in Major League Baseball. Have you thought about that? You made your first All Star appearance last
Yeah.
season, second lowest ERA of your career last season. Some are saying that you are aging like a fine wine, Matt. I
Yeah,
want to know:
I
is there
mean,
anything different you did last season? Anything that you changed? Like, what happened?
yeah, I mean, I think like last year was kind of, I mean, so my first year I signed with Philly was like my true first time coming to camp knowing I was a reliever. And then we all know what happened in 23. We lost a bunch of starters, and then they switched me to being a starter and get ready to be a starter for the season. And then last year, I mean, obviously the depth that Dombrowski has created here in Philly, that gave me the leeway to just to worry about one inning, and I was able to focus on being a reliever from January 23rd when I got here all the way through the season. So it was kind of, it was never in the back of my head of when will they need 4 or 5 innings out of me? When will they need this? And it was kind of felt like my first full year as a reliever.
Hmm. That is something I was always curious about. Is there ever or when is there a discussion between you, Caleb, Topper going into the season or any point during the season where you're like, all right, hey, this is how we plan on using you. This is what we think you're strong at. You're coming in into a dirty inning. We want to use you in clean innings. Is there a discussion? Does that happen? What does that look like between like all you guys?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I've been here with Topper, he's been very open that like it's we don't necessarily have a closer in our bullpen. They're going to play our matchups, and then Caleb also he's very good with numbers and matchups. So he shows you like if you are the closer, we don't label it, but if you are the closer, but you throw the seventh inning, it's because we saw the seventh inning as the hardest inning coming up between seven, eight, nine. So they're playing the matchups, which also benefited me last year of coming into games and getting the two lefties and one righty or
Hmm.
the switch hitter and whatever. But um, that's something that I think baseball is trying to go away from is the closer and just play the matchups. Because what's it matter if Josh Hader gets 7, 8, 9 out in the ninth, or if he stops the game in the seventh with 1, 2, 3? Like it's probably more valuable that he stopped a bases loaded situation in the seventh than coming into a 3-run lead in the bottom of the ninth to face the bottom three hitters. Like, so it's just that they're really good at that here. And the biggest thing is, like you said, the communicating of we're gonna fire our bullet when we think the bullet's needed. So just be ready. And that's kind of what I've always liked about the bullpen is the anticipation. I've never in my 10 years in the big leagues, I've had brief moments where I've had a role. Otherwise, I've always just kind of been the SOS guy. And
Yeah.
just whenever something, it could hit the fan in the fourth, it could hit the fan in the eighth with the setup man. And then I would come in. So I've always loved the anticipation and not knowing. Um, I've always wondered I've always wondered what it would be like to know you have the ninth inning every day. Because when I'm a starter, I kind of get those like starter butterflies. All
Hmm.
of a sudden, 1 o'clock rolls around for a 6:40 game, and my appetite's completely gone because I'm thinking about baseball and all that. So I could only imagine as a closer, the build up going into the ninth, it would probably feel very similar. But obviously, you don't know you're going to have a lead in the ninth until the game starts, so it'd be a little different. But I love just go in when called. I'm not a big fan of as regimented and routine as I am. You'd think I'd
Hmm.
want to know what I'm throwing, but I just stay ready and I'm ready to throw whenever.
Yeah, you're just kind of living in the moment, it sounds like.
Oh yeah,
Um, and Caleb recently had some words about Orion Kerkering, and I'm gonna ask you about him.
yeah,
He was just saying high praise of him, that he's a trash man, that he likes those
yeah,
hot, sticky situations, and sounds like you do too. You kind of thrive off of that. I'm ready to go when like you said, when the shit hits the fan. Like let's
yeah,
do it here and now, and it's almost like a I don't know, not an anxious thing, but like an adrenaline kind of pumping. Like, hey, this is my moment.
yeah, no doubt. And that's, I mean, a, again, big outdoorsman. If you've never experienced it, archery hunting is the closest adrenaline rush I've ever experienced in my life to throwing in front of 45,000 people at the bank. And so I guess I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie when it comes to that. And I mean, that I love dirty innings. Like I love coming in with like Nola just busted his butt for 7 and a third and gave up a double and a walk, and now we got first and second with 1 out and a 2-run lead. And it's like it just, I don't know, you feel like a great teammate when you come in there and keep that win for Nola and just shut the door. So it's, I mean, not only do you feel good you got someone out, but you did something for someone else, and it's just kind of it's a unique feeling in the game itself, and it's fun.
That's how you pick up your teammate, right? That's how you
Yeah,
pick them up as a pitcher. You know, at the plate, it's
exactly.
a lot different when you can give them run support and say, "Hey, we got you. We're going to give you, five,
Yeah,
6 runs today." So yeah, that is awesome. You can kind of thrive off of that. Speaking of the bullpen, your buddy Jeff Hoffman is now a Blue Jay. We
yeah.
hated seeing Jeff leave. I heard that
Same.
you and Jeff were throwing buddies as well, right? So you're going to have to find a
Yeah,
new throwing buddy. And then you guys were
yeah,
also mentors to Orion Kerkering. He spoke about that once Jeff left. He said, "Hey, so, listen to Strahm, listen to what he has to say." So my questions are like, how do you fill that void with Jeff leaving? Do you have a relationship with Jordan Romano, Joe Ross? Like, have you spoke with them? That kind of stuff. And then that mentoring piece, what that looks like to
yeah.
Kerkering, and then maybe who kind of did that for you as you were coming up.
Yeah, so Joe, I played with Joe's older brother actually, and so if he's anything like his brother, it'll be easy going. It was a great dude, awesome. And Romano's actually been out here in Clearwater working out with me for the last 2 weeks, so I've gotten to know him. Um, Looks like it's shaping up that that's my new catch partner, which I mean
Oh
he
wow.
plays catch very similar to how Jeff and I do. Jeff, the thing I loved the most about Jeff was he was when he came to Philly, he understood like where he was at in his career at that point. He was just in AAA a month ago, not pitching very well at all, mind you, and then all of a sudden throws an unbelievable IBP to Harper and gets the opportunity in the big leagues. And he had never really been strictly a reliever at that point, so he was very open to learning. And the biggest thing for me is I like to save my bullets, so to speak. Like I know today's generation all about the work and the drive line and more is better, more is better. To an extent it is, but baseball's not a sport like basketball. Like Kobe Bryant's 24/8 theory of like how much he shoots and all these stuff. I can't just get on a mound and throw 75 pitches on Monday and then do it again on Tuesday. Like I'll tear my arm up and
Yeah.
it's just not feasible to do. So he was very open to learning, and I finally got a guy who was open to learning. And then I was like, yo, you don't need to play long toss to pitch at night. Like it just like you don't. Like if
Hmm.
I told you right now to throw this pitch to save your 3 kids, you could do it, right? He's like, yeah. And I was like, all right, well then throw the pitch to get your paycheck. We don't need to do all this other BS in between. And that's been the hardest part for me in my career is finding someone who doesn't feel like they need to play so much catch.
Hmm.
Because again, we play a lot of catch, but we play it on flat ground, which still makes no sense to me because we pitch from an 18-inch
Oh,
mound.
yeah.
So then I watch all these guys play long toss and they're tilting their shoulders the exact opposite way we want to move. We want to move down the hill. You watch Jacob DeGrom lift his leg, that front shoulder dives down and he throws 102.
Hmm.
And it's like he's got good mechanics. You would never see DeGrom throw 102 if he was lifting to throw his shoulders up. Like it's
Hmm.
just so for me that was cool with Jeff, and I finally got him onto it. And for the last 2 years, it's been the easiest catch I've had in the big leagues, and it's been fun. But I played catch with Romano here the last 2 weeks. He seems to be in the same realm or the same idea. Maybe a few more throws than I'm used to, but it's all going good.
Okay, so yeah, he's obviously looking healthy. You guys are on the same kind of program regiment.
Yeah.
And then what about Kerkering? Is he down there as well or no?
Yeah, so Kirk actually he was supposed to come in last Friday for his bullpen, but then I think he ended up doing the Phillies caravan, so he was up in Philly and didn't come in. He came in today to throw his bullpen. Otherwise, I think where he lives, it's kind of like a longer drive to Clearwater, so he just comes in on bullpen days,
Gotcha.
which is Tuesday, Friday. But no, he's down here getting his work in, and we're all ready to go.
And what is it? What does that mentoring piece look like? Because he, like I said, I saw that video, and once Jeff left, he's like, man, it's going to be hard with him leaving, and him and Strahm were kind of like those guys mentoring me. So just curious, like, yeah, what that looks like, what you see in him, or how you're trying to mentor him, and then like I said, maybe somebody that did that for you coming up.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like on the field, the kid has all the talent. He doesn't really need any of that. The one thing I just want him to know, like, is there's a lot of noise outside of this game, and it's how you handle it and all that stuff. So I wouldn't even say I don't. It's almost like when you say mentor, he follows by what I do, I guess, because it's not like, and just keeping him in check. Like he's 23 years old,
Right.
sharing a clubhouse with a lot of older guys. It's kind of actually how I debuted in the big leagues. I debuted at 24 years old in Kansas City, and I think there was only two guys on the roster at the time that were non-arbitration guys. So it was a bunch of veterans in that clubhouse. You just kind of learn as you follow and learn. But as far as like Orion's, I mean, he's he's easy. It's just there's a lot of stuff outside of baseball, whether it be how to handle family when they're coming to a postseason. Like you're only given 4 tickets as a player,
Yeah.
and you got 12 family members asking you for tickets. You're gonna have to pay for 8 of those. And
Right.
it's like, dude, you're on league minimum. You pay your agent. You have all these other things you pay for. Like, don't get caught up in this because, again, this sport can just end like that, and those paychecks stop like that. So be
Mm.
smart with it. And I mean, I've told him this before. I was like, and if you ever want to blame it on me, go ahead. I'll deal with it. So like somebody said, I said, you could tell your uncle that Matt said I can't give you tickets, and I'll deal with your uncle for you.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's little things that people get caught up in that it's like, hey, just step back and look at it from a future standpoint of how it's going to affect you and all that. And I mean, he's a great kid. He's got his head on his shoulders the right way, and he's here to work. And if you're here to work with me, I can do it. If I have to remind you to work, I'm more than likely not going to talk to you, and it is what it is. But
Yeah.
Orion's here to work, and that's what we all want in our clubhouse is guys that are working towards that one thing.
Yeah, I think all that peripheral stuff is valuable, right? Like you said, how to handle yourself as a big league player. This is what happens during the
Right.
postseason because, I mean, he came up at a great time with a great team that is experiencing postseason success, and you don't get that everywhere. So, yeah, maybe he's getting to see all this kind of stuff. Like, wow, this is from start of the season to the postseason. This is how we handle each other. Like you said, the tickets, stuff like that. So I'm sure he is benefiting greatly from that, and
No
that has
doubt.
been awesome.
No
Um,
doubt.
Matt, I want to talk to you about one of your biggest passions, one of your biggest hobbies. This is where I met you at the card show, right? So you
Yeah,
have
Philly show. Yeah.
the Philly show, yeah. So you have a passion for collecting cards. You have a TV show called The Card
Yeah.
Life. You have a new Instagram page, the Matt Strahm PC. I'm guessing that stands for personal collection.
Yep.
Um, and your ideas to share personal stories behind each of these cards. Like, just tell me a little bit about that. Plug the new Instagram so people
Yeah.
can follow it because I saw some stuff today that I wanna touch about in a little bit as well. But tell me all about that, the TV show, and then your Instagram pages.
Yeah. So in 2018, I think it was either 18 or 19. Phil Hughes joined the Padres for the last half of the season, and then he retired after the season, and he started his own YouTube channel called Phil's Pulls. And I watched every episode of his for 3 years, and then in 2020, when COVID hit and no fans were able to come to the ballpark, I just pitched it to Phil. I was like, yo, should I do a YouTube channel where I open up cards in a stadium from like the nosebleeds just overlooking the stadium? He's like, dude, they'll eat it up. They'll love it. So I did that in about, I don't know, 6 or 7 episodes after of that I did. The producer of the Card Life, Brandon, reached out to me and was like, look, I got this approval for this TV show all about sports cards. And he's like, we're looking for a host. Would you be interested? I was like, absolutely. I was like, here's my agent's information. Give him a call. You guys figure out whatever. And I'm down to do it. Just, it is what it is. And started doing that. I've done that. I think we're on our fifth season of that. So we've done that for, yeah, this is our fifth season of that. And then this off season, well, probably last mid season last year, I got my agent into cards. I was like, bro, you should just like pick up the first Bowman cards of your top prospects that you represent, and it would just be cool. Be a
Mhm.
little side gig for you to do with your cards. And so he's gotten into it more and more. And then he was over at my house this off season, and he like asked me, he's like pointed at a box in my office. He's like, "What's that?" I was like, "Oh, those are all cards that teammates have signed for me." He's like, "They're all signed?" I was like, "Yeah, like it's just cards I've opened in a clubhouse." And I've happened to hit a Jake Cronenworth as Jake Cronenworth standing over my shoulder. I'm like, "Hey, you want to sign it?" And they'll
Yeah.
sign it. So it's like they're kind of unique. They're like none of them are super high valued cards. I mean, some of them are, but they're just unique stories and they're all autographed. And so he was the one that was like, dude, we need to do an Instagram page of all this and blah, blah, blah. And the only reason this all happened was because he's willing to do all the photos and everything. Cause I was like, dude, you don't understand how big of a pain it is to try and get some of these cards to photograph well. So he was like, dude, I'll take the photos. You just send me the caption and I'll post them. I was like, all
Mhm.
right. So started sharing some of my cards. I mean, we got tons of cards to go through. And I mean, I'm in a unique situation as a card collector to acquire some autos. So it's kind of
Yeah.
cool. And I mean, it's just, like I said, these are all PC cards. They're not, nothing's for sale. It's just what I have in my collection. And one day when I'm 6 feet under, hopefully it buys my daughter something nice.
Yeah, well, you do have a collection. I thought it was really cool because when I met you, you were with your brothers, right? Those guys are your brothers.
So the one was my agent, and then
Okay.
the other one with long hair is my brother.
Okay, yeah, that's why I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know if they
yeah.
were
Yeah.
both your brothers. I was like,
No,
they could
no.
be, but it
Yeah,
was just cool. You guys are just like ripping packs, and you could tell it's like very much a hobby that you guys share, and you're invested in all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And that's so cool that you're obviously like you said you're in these clubhouses where it's like, hey, you wanna just sign this. And I've looked through the page as well, and I saw some like today you had Rafi Devers, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so tell me about that, because you shared a clubhouse with him. He signed that one. Tell me about today's card.
Yeah, so today's card was actually in 22 when I signed with the Red Sox. We were in New York for opening day, and before the game, I had a Series One box in my locker, and I was like, let's rip it." So I just opened it up, and we hit a Rafi insert, and it was again like all this stuff just kind of it just happens in the clubhouse, and I'm sitting there with Ryan Brazier, and we're opening cards, and then hit the Devers, set it to the side, and then as we're cleaning up, Devers walks in. I'm just like, "Hey, Rafi, will you sign this for me quick?" And he signed it for me there before opening day. So it's just, again, they're just unique cards, and the fact that it's not like I'm going out purchasing a Trey Turner rookie card and then having him sign it.
Right.
It's like, oh, I think I've opened some 2014. Like, let's see if I got a first Bowman of Trey, and I sort through all my boxes, and I think I found a couple, and then he'll sign them for me. So it's kind of cool that I would say 90% of the cards I've gotten signed by players, I've ripped myself, but 100% of them I've acquired, whether it's like someone gives me cards or whatever. Like I haven't, the one card I have purchased, but I purchased it before I was his teammate, to be fair, that I
Okay.
have purchased to get signed was a Bryce Harper rookie X Fractor. And that I purchased that back in 21, I think it was. And it was just one night, my brother and I were sitting out by the bonfire, and then I'm looking on eBay, and I'm like, dude, this X Fractor of Harper is about to go for pennies. So I just put a bid in and I won it. And I was like, oh, shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And then lo and behold, 3 years later, I was his teammate, and I brought it in. I was like, yo, Harp, will you sign this for me? And he did. So
Okay.
it's cool.
Yeah, because I know you've said this before, but Matt has a rule. If someone hits a home run off of you, you
Yeah.
get their card. If someone hits two home runs off of you, you get it signed, right?
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
you got a small collection, right? I don't think you're trying to grow that collection.
No, I'm
Yeah,
definitely not
yeah.
trying to grow it. There's definitely been so once Freddie Freeman took me deep twice, I was like, dang it, dude, I gotta buy a Freddie auto.
Yeah.
Those aren't cheap. Those aren't cheap at all. So I put it off actually when he did it. I put it off until the off season, and then still hadn't bought the card at the time. And then my brother came home with some Topps update boxes, And we opened them up and we hit a Freddie Freeman to 5 auto. And I was like, dude, this works perfect. I don't have to buy one. So that's the card I got in there. And actually he was nice enough. He signed a couple for me at the All-Star game too. So I got a couple of him. But
Okay, so you
I
got
need
some done at
to
the All-Star game.
yeah, I need the Santander hype to calm down a little bit because he got me last year, which was his second home run off of me in his career. So he got me
Mm.
in 22 in Boston, and then he got me again last year. So
Should have got him
need the
before he
hype. I
signed that
need the hype. Yeah,
contract. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, it wasn't. It was never a good time to buy for him after he hit the home run off me all the way going into free agency. He had a heck of a year too, and then
Yeah.
so yeah, that one I might have to purchase here soon.
Have you met any other players through this hobby? I would imagine there's got to be more players. Like, have you found out like, oh, you collect too, and you got like share a bond? Have you met players like that?
Yeah, I mean, like, so I'm also just like super competitive. So if I've never shared a clubhouse with you, I'm more than likely not
Gonna go
like
out of your way, like,
I'm not gonna go out of my way to find you or talk to you or do anything, especially on game day. Like it's just I'm here for my job and I'm gonna do my job kind of thing. But I mean, throughout the years, like I've definitely guys in the clubhouse, like I said earlier, Brazier in Boston got big into it. Rich Hill was big into vintage, so like he loves collecting, but
well,
he's more so
he
like
is vintage.
buying.
Vintage.
Yeah, he would buy he is vintage, yeah, and he would laugh at that too, so I could
Yeah.
say that. But like I'd open cards with Brazier. Tanner Houck got into it a little bit. Then when I got over to Philly, Reese was getting back into Pokemon. He was like, dude, I got back into Pokemon. It's awesome, blah blah blah. And it's again, the cards are fun. They make you feel like a kid again, and that's exactly what Reese was saying. And then Connor Brogdon was a reliever here in Philly for a couple years. I was with him in 23 and a little bit of 24, and he's got a kind of a cool collection. He'd probably get mad at me for saying this because he's not a big talker, but he's got a base card of everyone he's struck out in the big leagues, which I
Oh,
think is
okay.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's really cool to have. And but yeah, I mean cards have definitely blown up and since I've come into the big leagues in 2016 and become more prominent throughout the clubhouse. I mean, just this year in Philly, we had Jeff Hoffman, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, and Kyle, Trey, and Aaron Nola. Oh, and Spencer Turnbull was in there. And shoot, I'm trying to think of another 2014 draft. There was one more guy. I'm blanking on him, but we had 6 guys in the Bowman draft product. So Jeff had ordered a whole case of 2014 Bowman, and
Nice.
the Bowman draft, and those 6 guys sat around the ping pong table opening it. And it's kind of cool to like, especially for those guys, the draft, like that's an experience they'll never forget. So for them to be opening guys, and like obviously there's some shit talking like, oh, this guy went before me and didn't pan
Right.
out and like
Yeah.
stuff
That
like
should have been
that.
an
So like
episode.
yeah, like it
Yeah.
should have been. That would have been cool. That would have been cool. Uh but yeah, it's fun, and like I said, cards are just it turn 30-year-old men into boys.
Right. Well, you said there's that nostalgic piece with it, right? I think
Yeah.
nostalgia is one of the strongest kinds of emotion. You see it in marketing all the time. You see it with a lot of products. Nostalgia is very powerful. But that would have been so cool to like have like
Yeah.
people would pay for people would buy tickets to watch that because like
Oh
you
yeah.
said, you go through and you're like, oh, this guy, yeah, he turned out to be real good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
No
that's
doubt.
funny. Last thing, Matt, before I let you get out of here. Last year, you made headlines with your belt at the All Star game,
Oh
right?
yeah.
You had the card belt, which was so cool, different. Any ideas floating around your head? I know you don't want to get too far ahead, but say
Yeah.
All Star game this year. Say you have another stellar season. You thinking anything? Any kind of stuff you've been thinking about?
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I mean, I think if I were to repeat as an all star, I think I just have to rep another card belt for sure, just a different variation or different parallels or something. But something I've been meaning to reach out to the card belt guy for. I want to. My mom has made so many comments about my belt, so I want to see if he'll do a purse strap for her.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah,
like my mom wears a crossbody purse, and I was like, that's got to be easy to do, right? Just 2 clasps, just like a belt, just no
right.
loop. Instead of the buckle, you do just two clasps. So that's something I've been kicking around in my head. The hard part for me is giving up the cards to cut up to do it. So
Sure.
like when I reached out to Brandon to have my card belts made, I was just like, just send him some base cards of whatever. And then they send me the belts and I'm looking, I'm like, dude, you put a short print on here? You put an Independence parallel on here that's numbered to 76? I was like, you guys are wild.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so but it turned out great and it looks sick. And the best part of the whole card, and the guy didn't even know that the card of me doing I love you to my daughter turned into a short print in series 2, I think, of Tops in 23 or 24. And it was 23, obviously, because I was 24 last year. So it's me giving the I love you sign to my daughter before the game, and they made it in a card. And the way he made the belt, where I put it through on the front, that card is right there. So it was
That's
just kind of
cool.
that little extra meaning, which was cool. And
Yeah.
I would have never cut that card up because of how much I like it,
Right.
but it wasn't my card. Brandon gave up one of his and sent it to him, so it turned out really cool.
Where's that belt at now?
So I still have it, but last I heard, Brandon said that Brandon's the producer of the Card Life. He said that Cooperstown reached out to him about doing an episode of me dropping it off to him.
Oh,
So I don't know
yeah.
if it's going to end up there or not. I mean, that'd be cool. When they first asked if I would be willing to put it there, I told them yes right away. And I told my brother that they wanted it. He's like, "Are you going to give it to him?" I was like, "Bro, that might be my only chance into the Hall of Fame. Of course I'm giving it to him. What do you
And
mean?"
it's to honor those cards, like you said. Like if
Yeah,
you
no
love those
doubt.
cards, it's like that's the place it should be.
No doubt. No doubt. And that's the other thing. I think they may have already done it or they are planning to have it open this summer at the Hall of Fame is like a card section. They're going to have a card section there of cards throughout the years and everything. So that'd be really cool to be able to go check that out and drop it off for them.
Man, that would be really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't been to Cooperstown yet. Have you?
I have not.
Yeah.
Have not. So it'd be a cool place to go.
Yeah. All right. Well, Matt, again, thank you for joining me here today, answering my questions.
Of course.
I'm gonna be down in Clearwater. I come see you guys towards the end of spring training. It's like the couple days right before you guys fly back to Philly to get your last starts in and stuff. So maybe we can connect over there.
Yeah.
And, come see you on the field or something.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Keep me posted.
All right, Matt, stick around. I'm going to end this, and then I'll get you on your way, all right?
Right on. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again.